Before diving into this incredible story, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the bell. Every story here has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. Elena Walker had always walked with her head down in this world built for those who speak loudly and look down their noses. It wasn't weakness, but a habit learned early, very early. The kind of posture you adopt when you understand, as a child, that people like you must avoid disturbing the established order. At school, she spoke little, observed a lot. She was thought to be shy. In reality, she listened to the world with a precision few possessed. She was the daughter of an African-American nurse, Gloria Walker, respected but exhausted by years of sleepless nights at the municipal hospital, and Thomas Walker, a man as silent as the engine he repaired each day in the workshop. Together, they had raised their daughter in a modest house with peeling paint, tucked away on a street in Jackson, Mississippi. There were no luxuries, no holidays, no off-season gifts. But there was one thing that was unwavering: love. And a simple but constant demand: be straight, work hard, and don't apologize for who you are. It was in this rough but sincere cocoon that Elena received an unexpected inheritance. His grandfather, Ezekiel Walker, a decorated Vietnam War veteran, lived in a small wooden cabin behind their house. He almost never spoke of the war. But on some summer days, when the sounds of the city seemed to fade, he would take Elena into the woods. There, in a clearing he called the Sanctuary of Silence, he would place a rifle in her hands. Not to kill, ever, but to understand. Shooting isn't violence, my dear, he told her. It's truth. You don't aim with just your eyes. You aim with your calm. With him, she learned breathing, patience, and self-control. He made her not a shooter, but a disciple of silence. But almost no one knew this. Not even her parents. It was their secret, an invisible bond between two damaged but lucid souls. And when Ezekiel died, Elena buried the rifle in a wooden chest behind the house. She didn't touch it for years. At 28, Elena still lived in Jackson. Every morning, she hopped into her old Chevrolet pickup to deliver packages. It was a dull job, but she did it well. In the evening, she went to the neighborhood community center, a decrepit building that had become a shelter for children abandoned on the streets. There, she had revived an old air rifle program. It wasn't official nor funded, but she believed in it. She saw it the same way her grandfather did: the possibility, through discipline, of learning to exist in a world that ignores you. No one talked about her in the newspapers. She didn't post anything on social media. No prestigious diploma adorned her walls. But to the young people she coached, she was a legend. A quiet legend. A big sister. A beacon in the night. And then, one winter morning, everything changed. In her mailbox, she found a perfect ivory envelope, sealed with gold wax. Inside, a letter printed on thick, embossed paper with a subtle scent. The words seemed to come from another world. Mademoiselle Elena Walker, you have been officially invited to represent your state at the 18th edition of the International Elite Shooting Tournament, the Legacy Cup. The event will take place in Arizona at the Desert Hawk Range. The winner will receive a prize of $500,000. Attire required, professional. No sponsor required. Your attendance has been personally recommended. RSVP within 5 days. She read the letter 3 times. No contact. No explanation. Who had sent this? And most importantly, how did we know his name? The Legacy Cup was not an ordinary tournament. It was a closed circle, an arena for the powerful, the rich, the heirs of military and industrial dynasties. Organized every year by highly influential Charles "Chuck" Remington III, head of the Remington Armory and Defense Company, the event was less a competition than a spectacle. Expensive costumes, golden rifles, performances filmed and rebroadcast in wealthy circles. Chuck, 41, charismatic and contemptuous, reigned there like a god over his temple. A former West Point graduate, but above all the son of a billionaire, he liked to remind people that his blood was worth more than any experience. He had won the Legacy Cup 7 times in a row, and no one doubted he would win the 8th. No one, except the one who signed Elena up. And in the days that followed, a question haunted the young woman's mind. Why me? She didn't tell anyone about it. But she accepted the invitation. Not for money, not for fame, but because something deep inside her had just awakened. Something she had buried with her grandfather's rifle. A breath, a silence, and a promise. When Elena arrives in Phoenix, she immediately feels the difference. Everything in this private airport seems to belong to another planet. The limousines lined up like a royal procession, the hostesses dressed to the nines, the armed guards in discreet suits who keep watch without appearing to be watching. As she leaves the terminal, her old canvas duffel bag stands out amid the Italian leather suitcases. She tightens the strap against her shoulder and walks forward, straight. A black SUV with tinted windows is waiting for him. The driver, a pale, gloved man, looks at him briefly as if he's hesitant to confirm his identity. "Miss Walker?" "Yes." He nods without smiling and opens the back door without a word. The journey to the Desert Hawk Range, a private estate in the heart of the Arizona desert, lasts an hour. Through the window, Elena looks out at the arid mountains, the red plains, and the sun-baked horizon. A brutal landscape, but clear, unadorned. She feels strangely at ease. But as soon as you get out of the vehicle, everything changes. The complex's gate opens onto a walkway lined with American flags and bronze statues of military figures. The staff on site are sharply dressed, suits, tactical vests, earpieces. Eyes are turned toward her, some curious, others visibly annoyed. A black woman, coming alone, in faded jeans and hiking boots, carrying a rifle and a canvas holster? This was not the typical portrait of Legacy Cup guests. A young assistant approaches, uneasy, holding a tablet. "Miss Walker? Are you sure you're at the right event?" She looks him straight in the eyes. "Yes." He fades away, red-faced, without adding another word. In the area reserved for competitors, the stares become heavier, more direct. Here, the competitors wear custom uniforms, sponsored by arms brands or private security firms. Badges gleam on their sleeves. The rifles, placed in waterproof cases, are each worth more than a car. And in the center of the circle, surrounded by a group of men with faces shining with arrogance, stands Chuck Remington III. Fitted khaki jacket, mirrored sunglasses, predatory smile. He laughs loudly, claps his hands, makes jokes that everyone applauds, even if they're hollow. When he sees Elena, he lowers his glasses and stares at her. Well, are we hiring at FedEx now?" Another one, nearby, sneers. "Are you sure you took the right highway exit, honey? We're not here to sell cookies." "She's here to clean the shell casings, right?" adds a third with an exaggerated Texan accent. Laughter erupts. No embarrassment. No holding back. Just the feeling of being at home, in conquered territory. Even the journalists present don't turn their attention to her. Their cameras are focused on Remington, on her teammates, on their strong handshakes and pompous declarations. Slogans like precision, power, prestige are broadcast on the giant screens around the stand. But Elena doesn't answer. She doesn't even squint. She walks to her area, away from the group, where no one seems to want to sit. She places her bag on the ground. Slowly, calmly, she takes out an old Winchester 70 with a patinated wooden stock. The weapon is not flashy. It is simple, elegant in its rusticity. We hear mocking whispers. Is she going rabbit hunting, or what? She ignores him. She wipes the barrel with a clean cloth, screws on an old-fashioned scope, checks each part with a concentration that would make any expert blush. Then she sits down on the shooting bench. Alone, the desert wind blows gently on her face. She closes her eyes for a moment. The noise around her disappears. The jokes, the mockery, the flashbulbs. Everything becomes blurry, distant. What remains Isolance, the one she has always known, the one of her grandfather, of her childhood in the woods. And in his head, like a secret prayer, the deep, gentle voice of Ezekiel Walker resonates. Shooting is not a show of strength. It's a conversation between your breath, your heart, and time. She inspires. She is ready, not to be proven, but at your mind. The tournament begins. The sun is already high in the Arizona sky, casting its scorching rays across the sandy Desert Hawk Range. High-end tents have been set up for VIP guests, leather chairs, cold drinks served by gloved waiters, and high-definition screens broadcasting every shot live. The shooting range stretches across nearly a kilometer of desert. The targets are mobile, positioned at varying distances, 300, 500, 800, and 1,000 meters. Some slide sideways, others appear suddenly, propelled by a pneumatic mechanism. And to make matters worse, the wind blows in irregular, unpredictable gusts. A living hell for the shooters, but a perfect spectacle for the spectators. Chuck Remington goes first. He takes off his jacket, revealing a custom shooting jersey adorned with his family crest, a golden eagle's head surrounded by stars. He's filmed from every angle. He smiles, blows a kiss toward a camera, adjusts his leather gloves, then lies down on the platform. His weapon is a technological monster, a carbon fiber bolt-action sniper rifle, a digital scope with an integrated rangefinder, and an automatic stabilizing tripod. A $35,000 marvel of military engineering. Attention, shot number 1, fire. First shot, impact in the center. Second shot, still in the center. Third, fourth, eighth. Each ball slices through the air with surgical precision. The spectators applaud with each impact. The commentators murmur superlatives, absolute mastery, technical domination, record-breaking. But at the 9th target, a sudden gust of wind hits the firing line. Chuck hesitates for half a second, fires, and misses, just left of center. A tenth of a second too late. The giant screen displays a slight variation, 9.3 points out of 10. He clenches his jaw, but keeps smiling. He knows none of the other competitors match his skill level. At least, that's what he thinks. Then it's Elena's turn. An awkward silence fills the speakers. The organizers are mumbling. The cameras haven't even been set up for her. Lenses need to be adjusted urgently. A journalist jokes, "If she hits at least one target, I'll give her my Rolex." A nervous laugh answers him. Elena, for her part, steps forward without a word. She's not wearing a technical suit or gloves. Just jeans, a beige shirt tucked into pants, and a worn cap. Her rifle, her Winchester 70, seems almost anachronistic amidst all this technology. She lies down, rests her left elbow on the ground. Calm. Economy of gestures. She doesn't need a tripod. She becomes her own support. First shot. She manually adjusts the bezel, takes a slow breath, holds her breath. Tire. Impact net, absolute center. A small, sharp, metallic ding sounds off the target. A few spectators straighten slightly. The judges look at each other. Second shot, same procedure. Not a change in his breathing. Not a single emotion on his face. Perfect impact. The technicians behind the screens begin to enlarge the images, zooming in on the targets. The two impacts are so close they almost overlap. Third, fourth, fifth. The laughter has stopped. Faces change. The cameras, which until now had been following Chuck laughing with guests, all pivot towards Elena. A drone operator whispers, "Zoom in on her, something is happening." Seventh shot. Eighth. Ninth. Every bullet hits the exact center of the target, never deviating a millimeter. LED projectors reflect the impacts live. Absolute silence on the stand. The judges, standing with tablets in hand, are almost trembling with amazement. The spectators, sunglasses lowered, follow his movements as if they were watching a choreography. Then comes the 10th shot. The wind suddenly picks up, stronger than ever. A sharp whirlwind stirs dust across the plain. Even the tarps rattle. This is exactly what had unsettled Chuck. Elena doesn't move. She closes her eyes for a second. In this chaos of burning air, she does not fight the wind. She listens to it. In her head, she calculates the direction, the force, the time. Not with numbers. With her instinct. Her grandfather's, transmitted without words. She opens her eyes. Inspire. Tire. The sound of the 10th impact is clear. Direct. Clean. The screens show a perfect target point 10 shots. 10 absolute crosses. And perfect score. Unprecedented in the history of the Legacy Cup. The competition is over. The sun slowly sets over the red hills of Arizona, casting long, burning shadows across the now empty field. The other competitors have packed up their things. Some slip away discreetly, others pretend to talk about something else. But all still glance furtively toward the one they didn't see coming, Elena Walker. The organizers, standing back, exchanged hushed voices, visibly agitated. The tablets scrolled through the scores in a loop. The judges looked for flaws, errors, a technical detail to invalidate Elena's performance, but there isn't one. She's in the lead. Officially. Formally. Definitely. And it bothers. It was then that Chuck Remington he walks forward, alone. No more laughter, no more jokes, no more hugs between rich people. He has taken off his glasses. His eyes are cold, almost pleading beneath his cracked arrogance. Elena still sits by her bag, off to one side. She checks the lock on her Winchester one last time, as if closing a chapter only she understands. Chuck stops a few steps away. He lowers his voice. Listen, I can offer you a check. A big one. Bigger than the tournament prize. You take your name off the list. They'll say you pulled out, that you had a last-minute cancellation. No one needs to know. You're walking away with a lot more than 500,000. And we're keeping tradition intact. Elena doesn't turn around right away. She slowly fastens the buckle of her canvas case, then stands up. She stares straight into his eyes. For a long time, with disarming serenity. Then she whispers, without raising her voice. You want me to be invisible again? Chuck opens his mouth, but nothing comes out. His jaw clenches. He's standing in front of her, but he's the one who looks smaller. She walks around him without another word, leaving a silence in the air more violent than any answer. A few minutes later, an official steps onto the stage. The screens finally display the official results. 1 air place. Elena Walker, score, 100 out of 100. A ripple ripples through the crowd. Some applaud timidly. Others fall silent. And a few simply look away. The humiliation is subtle, but profound. Chuck is relegated to second place. He, the 7-time champion, dethroned by an unknown woman, without a sponsor, without a costume, without social legitimacy, but with a talent they never knew how to recognize. An assistant approaches Elena with a microphone. She shakes her head gently. Then, seeing the cameras staring at her, she finally takes it. Not to celebrate, but to restore. She steps onto the small stage. No outpouring. No smile. The desert has frozen. Even the birds seem to have fallen silent. She looks at the horizon for a second, then at the crowd, and finally at the lens. His voice is calm, measured, sharp as a hot blade. All my life, I heard that I wasn't cut out for this world, that I came from the wrong neighborhood, that I wasn't born on the right side, in the right skin, with the right name. I was told I was too quiet, too withdrawn, too everything. I didn't come here today to prove that I'm better than them. I didn't come to steal their throne, nor to be applauded. I came to remind them of a truth they have forgotten. Talent doesn't wear a costume. It doesn't ask for permission. And above all, it doesn't need to be validated to exist. Silence. Brutal. Total. Then, a single clap of applause is heard. That of a young technician who had remained at the back of the tent. Quickly joined by 2. Then 10. Then a whole section of the audience. Guests stand. Members of the media team put down their cameras to applaud in turn. Chuck remains seated. Stiff. Fists clenched. Staring into space. An excerpt from Elena's speech made the rounds on social media in the hours that followed. Images of her calm, her silence, her perfect shots went viral. But it was her final sentence, sober and straightforward, that became a slogan, etched on signs and printed on t-shirts throughout the streets of Jackson. Talent doesn't need to be seen. It just needs a free field. A few months later, south of Jackson, Mississippi, an old industrial wasteland is undergoing a transformation. Where rusting car wrecks and abandoned memorabilia once piled up, a brand new building now rises, clad in red brick and black steel. In elegant white letters, the facade reads, "The Walker Legacy, Training Center for Precision Shooting, Discipline, and Resilience." Elena didn't invite the cameras. She didn't make a formal speech. She doesn't want a grand opening. All she wants is for the doors to open and for the children to come in. Boys with tired eyes, girls with muffled voices, teenagers lost in a world too noisy to hear them. Here, we don't teach war. We teach silence, the breath, patience, self-respect. Elena financed everything herself, thanks to the tournament winnings. She refused sponsorship offers, endorsement contracts, and lucrative interviews. Not out of arrogance, out of principle, because she knows that some fights are won away from the spotlight. Each room in the center bears the name of a person who created it. Gloria, his mother, Ezekiel, his grandfather, and even a discreet room, at the back of the building, simply named the Wind Room, in tribute to that 10th perfect shot, the one that changed everything. The center quickly became a landmark for Jackson's youth. Volunteer coaches, former military personnel, educators, and local artisans came to supervise the young people. They learned how to aim, yes, but above all, how to don't rush, to breathe, to think. to regain control in a world that constantly pushes them to react without thinking. Elena, for her part, continues to live simply. Same house, same dented van. She shuns the spotlight, but her presence shines from every corner of the center. The children call her Miss Whisper because she speaks quietly, but her words hit hard. Meanwhile, across the country, in a glass and steel office overlooking Manhattan, Chuck Remington watches his empire falter. Videos of the tournament are still circulating on social media. The comments are merciless. Sponsors are leaving one by one. Economic commentators no longer talk about his exploits, but about the silent fall of a blinded heir. He refuses all interviews, ignores requests. He lives in comfort, of course, but his name no longer has the same luster. In private circles, it is whispered, he was beaten up by a stranger who came out of nowhere. But that's not true. She didn't come from nowhere. She came from Jackson. One day, a stubborn journalist manages to meet him as he leaves a discreet gala and hands him a microphone. "Mr. Remington, what do you think of the Walker legacy?" "You never replied." Chuck hesitates. His gaze wanders for a moment. Then he whispers, almost reluctantly, "This is what I should have built." He gets back into his car without another word. Meanwhile, at the Walker Center, a young boy named Malik is adjusting the scope of an old rifle on a target 500 meters away. Beside him, Elena gently adjusts her elbows, without raising her voice. "Don't think about hitting the target. Think about listening to it. If you breathe like it, it will come to you." The boy inspires. Tire. Perfect impact. Elena smiled for the first time that day. Not for a record, not for fame, but because, somewhere in the desert, the silence she learned now speaks with hundreds of voices.